Welcome to the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS German Newcomer Cup 2024 from the beautiful Klingenthal. It is an absolutely fantastic location. We are at the ski jump location, and it's the I believe it's called the Voigtjagd, but it doesn't matter. The location is absolutely fantastic, as you can see from our drone shots, and today we are going to be introducing you to the newcomers for the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS in the upcoming years. And there are our German moderators, Christoph Lang, our expert, and Guido Husken, the absolute granddaddy caddy of commentators for TIMBERSPORTS. Been around the sport a long time, and those two guys are going to be guiding our German audience through the show today. And I will be doing the English side for those folks joining us online around the world. My name is Troy Mannering, and we hope you enjoy the show today. Shortly, we're going to go down to the main stage where our stage crew will take over, and we'll meet the guys down there. We'll also get to see who will be taking care of business on stage. We're going to introduce them to you shortly here as we head down to the stage. And Toby, who is our on-site live moderator, and he will introduce us to our judges and our athletes who will be coming on stage shortly.
Liebes Publikum, liebe Fans, ein ganz herzliches Willkommen zur deutschen Nachwuchsmeisterschaft von STIHL TIMBERSPORTS! Nach 2017 sind wir 2024 wieder da mit der deutschen Meisterschaft hier in der wunderschönen Sparkasse Vogtland Arena. Und ich weiß, schon vor 7 Jahren haben die besten Sportholzfäller und
So today we will be taking on the German Newcomer Cup. And what we're going to see on stage today is a group of young athletes, and I say young comparing to my age, but they are a group of young up-and-coming athletes, and you are going to get to meet them and see just how they are going to progress in the sport and where they're coming. There's going to be a few guys you're going to meet for the first time. There's going to be a few guys that are on their way out of being a rookie or an intermediate and moving their way into the pros. As we get onto those athletes, we will introduce them to you individually. There are also some very important individuals that are going to be taking care of the action that's happening on stage today, because there is a lot of dangerous equipment being used on stage, and we'll get to that here shortly as we introduce our judging crew and then on to the athletes. Now, we're going to be battling in five different disciplines today. As you can see, the two stands on stage next to Toby on either side are our springboards now for the intermediate and rookie athletes that have qualified to be able to compete in the springboard through safety testing. They will have one board springboards to do, and they will have to cut a hole in the block and put the springboard in. That will be our first discipline. We'll get to that. But before then, we'll introduce our judges. Our main judge on stage is the ever-present Bart Janssen, and he will be taking care of all things stage-related there where our judging is concerned. He will also have his assistant judge on stage, Ruud Meyer. Ruud has been around for a couple of years now, and these two gentlemen will be making sure that everything is safe and fair on stage. Now, in order to keep this competition really fair, there are cameras set up all around the stage, high-speed cameras looking down upon each of the different stand locations, and that will be taken care of by that man right there in our competition control center. That is STIHL Janssen. And now we are going to welcome onto the stage our athletes. We have today 12 athletes.
Dürft ihr einmal ganz kurz aufstehen, auch euch möchten wir schon mal Danke sagen und herzlich willkommen, unsere Timer. Die sind schon richtig erfahren.
There's our timing judges as well. Sorry, I guess we forgot them. They're responsible for pushing the button at the end, and then between them and the final check from STIHL Janssen, our competition control center judge, we will get the fair and final timing for each of our athletes on stage. We should mention that these are head-to-head heats, but these are not elimination heats. These heats are based on best possible time in order to gather as
jetzt
many
hier in
points as
Klingenthal
possible
ist
towards the end, where
Luxton.
they'll all be put
Welcome.
together to find out who is your winner. So we have a couple of guests joining us today. Our first is from Great Britain. That's Rowan Luxton. And he is coming on as a rookie, very strong young man, bronze medalist at the National Rookie Championship 2024 in Great Britain. Joining him on stage will be another guest coming from Switzerland, and that is going to be Jeffrey Hübscher.
Jeffrey Hübscher!
And there you can see Jeffrey's stats, and if you want to keep note of that, he's one of the younger guys out there at 18 years old. This is going to be his first appearance at a national championship. Speaking of first appearances at national championships, our next athlete coming out, this is his first ever competition, and that is Tom Esa from Germany. So the nerves are going to be high for Tom at age 26, who's becoming in as an intermediate athlete, not a rookie. 25 is the cutoff age for our rookies, and then they have to join the sport as an intermediate, or if they're good enough, they can go directly into the pros. But there's a lot of training that comes into being a pro. Coming up onto the stage now, Alex Schendel. Joining him on stage shortly, and that's also a first-timer here at the national level. Joining him shortly will be Stefan Reichert. Stefan Reichert's got a bit of experience there. He has competed at the German Ford Ranger Cup and the Newcomer category in 2024.
Des dritten Platzes erreichte Bronze bei der letzten DM und will das natürlich wiederholen. Kommt aus Baden-Württemberg, aus Neudenau, 27 Jahre jung, Jan Reichert.
Jan Reichert got a few of his personal bests in the intermediate category. Let's see if he'll be able to knock some of those down. And he was the bronze medalist at the German Transit Cup 2023.
Aus Nordrhein-Westfalen-Lennestadt, 24
Now
Jahre jung,
Robin
Kunz.
Robin Kunz.
Der nächste Athlet ist der jüngste Athlet im Feld und er hat eigentlich doppelt zu feiern. Einerseits ist er heute hier dabei bei der deutschen Meisterschaft, aber er hat auch nochmal einen Sonderapplaus verdient, weil er gerade erst das Abitur bestanden aus Sonneberg in Thüringen.
But that's really what this category is all about, helping these athletes gain experience so that they can move into the pro level with some stats under their belts. Next coming up is Louis Schindelm.
Der nächste Athlet belegte den ersten Platz beim Nordic Rookie Cup dieses Jahr, also internationale Erfahrung, und er war Anfang August sogar beim ersten
So for us and for you audience members out there, a lot of these guys we're meeting for the first time. Florian Hegele coming out on stage now. Florian's been around for a little while. He does know the sport. It's fair to say that all of these guys have been around the sport for a while, but many of them competing at this level for the first time. They may have competed locally in clubs or just trained with some of the clubs or with other athletes, but this is their first time in a lot of cases where these guys get a chance to actually compete. Now coming out on the stage, Felix Mühlhaus. And as you can see here, there's a lot of first-timers at the National Rookie Champion or the National Newcomer Championship Cup here. So we're going to see many of these guys who are competing at this level getting personal bests across the board. There coming out is Leon Pesch.
Und jetzt ist es an der Zeit, einerseits
für den amtierenden deutschen Meister,
letzter Wettkampf hierbei auf der nationalen Ebene bei den Nachwuchsathleten, auch er war in China mit dabei und hat sich hier Platz 1 gesichert.
Be considered the favorite here today, Tim Anthofer He's competed in 2 Rookie World Championships. This will be his last season as a rookie. Next year, he will have to move into the pros because he will become 26. He'll turn 26 next season. And that will mean he'll have to jump into the next level of competition.
Natürlich auch 2 absolute Profis am Mikrofon, sowohl für die Stimme als auch natürlich für den Sport, die beiden. Und jetzt darf ich, nachdem wir alle Sportler auch nochmal
throw back up to our 2 German commentators, and we'll get into some action shortly here with our first discipline, Springboard, with 1 single board. More to come on that one, but before that, we are going to jump into one final view of our athletes that are competing here today, and then we're going to head over to check out our competition format. So as we move the athletes off the stage there, we'll take a quick look at our competition format shortly and give you an idea of what's happening here with these disciplines and how this competition is going to be broken down.
Newcomer Session hier, den Newcomer-Wettbewerb, den wir jetzt haben.
The STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Newcomer competition. All athletes compete against each other in 5 disciplines, provided they have safety clearance for the respective disciplines. The maximum number of points awarded for each discipline depends on the number of athletes taking part. The first discipline is Springboard with 1 board. The fastest athlete receives points equal to the total number of participating athletes, except for 1 point for last place in each discipline. There are no points for a disqualification. In the second discipline, the participants compete in stock saw. The third discipline is standing block chop. The fourth discipline, each participant has to prove their ability on the single buck. The last discipline, the underhand chop, is the last chance for the athletes to collect valuable points. The points from all disciplines are then totaled, and the athlete with the highest number of points wins the competition. So let's check out the tool and discipline for our first action up, and that is the axe and springboard. The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees by climbing up over thick branches. First, a notch, known as a pocket, is chopped into the log. The springboard is then anchored into this pocket. Now the athlete will climb up onto the springboard to chop a 27-centimeter wooden block from both sides at the top of the log. Okay, so there we see our start list for the springboard, and we're going to see Stefan Reichert going up against Jan Reichert, Florian Hegele going up against Rowan Luxton from Great Britain, Jeffrey Hübscher from Switzerland going up against Tim Anthofer. Tim Anthofer, as I mentioned, is the favorite here today. Still considered a rookie, but this year he will definitely flow out of the rookie ranks and into the pros, as he will turn 26 next season. And there you can see the rookie world record is 31.98. And they have 1 minute 30 seconds to get through that block on the top. So once they've set their springboard and are up on top and starting to cut through that block, they do have to cut through, as you heard from the discipline introduction, they have to cut through from both sides. What you'll see is they'll cut very deep on one side, and then they'll go to what I like to call the awkward angle, and you'll see that once we're getting up there and getting cutting, as they'll just cut a couple of drivers on the backside where it's fairly thin. But if they do cut through on one side only, then that does count as a disqualification. If they go past the 1 minute 30-second mark for a single board, then that will also count as a disqualification. Now, you do see the personal best for Stefan Reichart is 2 minutes 23 seconds. That's not going to wash here, so they definitely need to be faster on this single board. Now, for the rookies, it's been decided that a single board as a start is the best way to go. You have to remember that these guys are standing on top of that board with a razor-sharp instrument in their hands, and so 2 boards is left for the pros only. You also notice that there are only 3 heats of 2 athletes. That's 6 total, and that is because the other 6 athletes did not qualify the safety standards for this discipline and therefore are not allowed under the rules to participate. Okay. So we'll only have 6 guys in this heat here.
Ready.
Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, key here is to try and get a quick pocket. An optimal pocket is maximum 4 to 5 hits. Clean it out, get that board in place, make sure that that tongue on the board gets purchased, gets a nice grip, and then they can start to work on that top block. Now, this is a critical point, and this is why this discipline of springboard is so difficult, because there's so many things going on. Now, you can see Jan Reichert's already got his board in place, and it looks not too bad. A little bit of sag there, and he's going to want to feel as comfortable as possible as he gets started on that top block at the 35-second mark. Stefan Reichart still trying to set that pocket and make sure his board is ready to go in place. Jan Reichart looking pretty good, though, as he's gotten into that top block. And now Stefan Reichart is working on his top block as well. Both of these guys have pretty decent-looking boards, more or less parallel with the ground. The worst thing is when you've got a bit of sag. Now, if you look at the difference between these 2 guys on the overall look, Stefan Reichert's back foot is farther back on his board, meaning he's going to be able to drive into that block with more power, and that means his cuts are going to be more efficient, and he won't get as tired as quickly as Jan Reichart, who is a little bit closer to the block. And you can already see Stefan Reichart is doing a very good job to try and get fairly deep on this first side. And you'll also notice as the guys start to get a little bit more fatigued, their cuts start to go in more flat. They're not using that angle as much as you would normally see. But Stefan Reichart, meanwhile, is getting some nice big chips coming out of those blocks. And I think I might have misspoke when I said that the 1 minute 30-second time limit is the time limit. That is definitely not true, as based on the time we're at now. So I'll double check that. Could be 2 minutes 30 for the rookies. You can see here Stefan Reichart really concentrating. He doesn't look too fatigued at the moment, but you can see the axis going in pretty flat on a couple of those drivers, and that's going to cost him a little bit of cutting power. Jan Reichart, on the other hand, has gone to the backside at that awkward angle, getting a little bit sticky, trying to really get through. He might have left too much material on the front side as he takes a quick look to see if he can get through there. Coming up on the 2 minute 20-second mark, now we're looking at maybe the DQ for both of these guys unless they can get through that block. Jan Reichart deciding to go back to the front side, but it might be a problem here. Is it going to be a DQ for both of them? It is. Oh, no. Unfortunate start for these guys, as we've got DQs for both of them, and they want to finish. Jan and Stefan Reichart still cutting away, even though the whistle has gone. They both know they've been DQ'd, so that is an unfortunate start for these 2 gentlemen here, as they have gone over the time limit. So again, folks, that was my mistake. It is not 1 minute 30, it is 2 minutes 30. My apologies for that faux pas. So our first heat, unfortunately, sees a couple of DQs, and this tells you exactly how difficult this discipline really is. And we'll go down to the main stage for our decision zone to Bart Janssen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, both DQ out of time.
All right, so again, just going back to how difficult this discipline really is, there's so many things going on here. You've got a standing block chop on top of a wiggly, springy, thin board. You don't have the luxury of being on the ground. And setting this pocket is so important. Now, this was a very nice, clean pocket there by Jan Reichart. You can see he sets the board in place, gives it a quick check, and then as he's standing on it, he's got a really, really good stand, and you can see Stefan Reichert, as I mentioned during the heat, his back foot was all the way back on that springboard, so that gives him more leverage to really put power into the block. But taking a lot of time to set the pocket puts you really in the back seat once you start cutting up top here. And you can see here, Jan trying to get through that backside. Maybe left a little bit too much material on the front side before he went to that backside, and this was after the whistle had blown. Stefan Reichert just not wanting to give up at all. Jan Reichert absolutely blasted, and you can see him shaking his head at Stefan on the other side, as both of them had the DQs, unfortunately. So a quick block rebuild by our fantastic stage crew. This is like the Formula One crew for stages. They get out here and clean up that stage so well, and we always have to mention that stage crew down there who do such a fantastic job of making sure that everything is tidied up. And it's very important that that stage stay as clean as possible, especially for the chopping disciplines when the guys are moving around the blocks quickly. They can't step on a piece of sawdust or a chip on the ground, which will often result in them slipping and falling, and you don't want to do that with an axe or a saw in your hand. All right, so we're going to get a quick look again at our slow-mo replays and what might have happened with Stefan and Jan Reichert. And as you know, we did go over the time, so that results in a DQ. And as I mentioned, it is such a finicky discipline. There are so many things going on at the same time that you really need to be on point with every aspect of this. And we even see in the pro category with two boards, there are guys that are taking a long time to set their boards and get up on top of that block. And even in the pro category, we see them going to the next
woodsman who can
round.
cut down a
And
tree
now we're
more
going to take a
easily
look
than
back
most
at
people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the lumps that gets it.
All right, we do hope you're joining us for this live, and you can always watch this at STIHL TIMBERSPORTS on YouTube, where there are plenty of clips and lots of things you can learn about timber sports, as well as our athletes. And of course, you can always follow us by hashtagging KissMyAxe or hashtag TimberSports if you want to get involved with the conversation. All right, folks, so we're going to get ready for our next heat. That's going to be between Florian Hegele and one of our guests, that is Great Britain's Rowan Luxton. And we'll see how these two guys manage, if they can get it done in under the 2-minute 30 time limit. And as I said, you know, it's a difficult discipline to really be perfect at. You've got to be busy in training for this discipline, probably more than any other discipline in a combination. You can train underhand chop, you can train standing block chop, you can train single buck, and you can train the sawing disciplines with the motor saws like the stock saw. But this one in particular, you need to have everything working all together, and there is nothing better than seeing somebody do it at the highest possible level, and that's what this is about, training these guys to get there. So last minute preparations on those top blocks. They really do need to be secured. They've got these special screws that go into the top there to hold that block in place. They're about 24 centimeters long, and it really needs to be solidly in place. So there you see Florian Hegele up against Great Britain's Rowan Luxton as guest. National record, by the way, for the springboard for the rookies is 55.43 seconds. The world record, 31.98. So now our athletes will come out on stage. You'll often see the athletes come out with two axes. They are allowed to do that in case they damage an axe or find that an axe isn't cutting as desired. There are different kinds of shapes of the blades of the axes, a half banana, there's a wedge. There's lots of different versions that these guys use, and depending on how the wood is cutting on any given day, they'll choose the best axe that they feel for that particular wood. Rowan Luxton, a big boy out of Great Britain. So let's see how his skill level is for, as the British call it, the tree. And this is a discipline that they used way back in the day to get up top and cut above branches and roots, or not roots, but above branches that are up high. Here we go.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, a little bit of a jump step by Florian Hegele there on the first driver. Rowan Luxton looking calm, cool, and collected as he tries to set that board. Oh, that is not looking good at the bottom of that block, though, because it looks like there was a bit of a chip out from that, and I really hope that doesn't affect his board placement. Meanwhile, Florian Hegele has got that quick board up, and he is on top, chopping very quickly. I believe he was up there in under 15 seconds. And that board has got a nice angle on it. It's in solidly, and Florian Hegele with a great advantage right now as he gets in. Rowan Luxton gets a board in place, and he's got a deep angle on it. He can really go back, and look at that back foot working for Florian Hegele. This looks like it's going to be a really nice cut, but there's some dark in that block. It looks like he's got a knot in the way, but it doesn't seem to be bothering him at all. 51 seconds as he's almost through that first side, and he's going to try and get over to that awkward angle on the second side fairly soon, quickly, I can't say it. I'm so excited from this heat from Florian Hegele. Switches his foot position, a little hop by the axo, but he's on that second side. Oh no, Rowan Luxton's board has come out, and it might have broken out of that slab piece that I was talking about, but this is going to be a great time for Florian Hegele. Hey, he's done it in 1:14.14, and a personal best for Florian. What a great day for the young man from Germany. Rowan Luxton, he's got to cut a new hole and a new pocket for his board because that piece came out completely. So that little slab out that I noticed was the problem for Rowan Luxton's board, and he is in a lot of trouble. There you can see the breakout on that other side, and now he's going to try and get in there and get himself a good solid board, but he couldn't get up, and he is, oh my goodness, this is going to be such a problem for Rowan. It's really unfortunate for the young man from Great Britain because he's already cut through the first part of it, but now he's got to work at a completely different position on the block because he placed his board in a completely different position. So everything is absolutely awkward. The question is, will he be able to cut through there in under 30 seconds? I don't think so, unfortunately, for the young man. He's got the power, he's got the skills, but there's just too much material in the way to get it done in 15 seconds unless he's got the miraculous power from the backside. And you can see a big dark spot in there, a knot, but that doesn't seem to be bothering Rowan at all either with 8 seconds still to go here. Will he be able to do it? The tension mounts. Boy, he's gotten through there fairly quickly with some nice hits. Those drivers are good, but unfortunately he's just not quick enough to get through onto the other side, and that is going to be a time limit exceeded for Rowan Luxton, and that is by virtue of his board coming out. He broke out of the position completely. Hopefully we get a slow-mo replay on that, and we'll go down to our decision.
However, stand one, it's good.
So we have our first score in the blocks there, and that is Florian Hegele with a personal best of 1:13.87 after adjustment. Great job by him, and he was up quick on that board, and that's what we need. Let's take a look back at this again. So there was the first hit from Florian. It bounced out on him. He just had a weird angle or something. And you can see for Florian, it also happened a little bit as well. Now right here, no, unfortunately you don't get to see that. Florian, a couple of quick adjustments. That's a massive board he's got there, but you can see that tooth bites in nicely. He steps back with confidence and starts working with deep knee bends and lots of power. And now here we see the first few drivers from Rowan. Nice chips coming off. I mean, he's got the power, he's got the hits, everything seems to be looking good for him. But unfortunately for Rowan, that board came out. And again, I hope we get to see a picture of that happening and what it actually was. And there you see Florian getting through his. What a beautiful final cut, and the relief on his face is absolutely fantastic. And there you can see the board going down for Rowan, unfortunately. So he got to the other side. And, you know, yeah, he cut quickly. He cut really quickly. Once he got the board back up there, it was just unfortunately not fast enough. So he got a DQ for time exceeded. So Florian Hegele, the only guy with a time in the books for now with a 1:13.87 and a personal best for him. That's a great job. We love to see those personal bests because it always indicates that there is some improvement. So right now, Florian Hegele's time is the time to beat, with one more heat coming up between Jeffrey Hübscher, our other guest from Switzerland, and Tim Anthofer. Now you can see down on the stage there, the guys are cleaning up a lot of that wood that's on the stage, and a lot of people say, wow, that's a lot of wood that you guys are using up and wasting down there. As our gentlemen talk about what things happen down there on the stage here. But we do know that this wood is sustainably managed and sustainably grown, excuse me, and we're going to take a look exactly how that works for us here right now.
We as STIHL TIMBERSPORTS pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this poplar wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
So as you can see, the wood is not just thrown out there onto our blocks and chopped up and thrown away. It is actually reused. So we are trying to be as environmentally friendly under these circumstances as possible. Okay, our next heat coming up between Jeffrey Hübscher from Switzerland and Tim Anthofer, one of our favorites here today, and a man with plenty of experience. His personal best in the Springboard is 1:19.12. If we look at the personal best from Jeffrey Hübscher, it's 1:05.81. And this could be a very interesting heat between these two guys who both have excellent times on the Springboard. The question is, will the adrenaline and will the pressure of being on stage with a guy that's evenly matched up with you help to push them and make both of these guys run the boards a little bit faster? All right, it looks like our stage is ready to go, and we will be back down on our stage for our next two athletes coming out. Here, Tim Anthofer, I can see in the background, already on stage. Quick inspection of his block as he disappears off to the sidelines. And Jeffrey Hübscher should also be down there on stage too. And there we have our guys, and there you can see their personal best times. Jeffrey with a 1:05.81 and Tim with a 1:19.12. As I said, Tim is at the precipice of moving on to the pro level, so this will be his last season competing as a rookie, and he has been quite successful throughout his career, going from strength to strength, and the next step for him will be to move up to the pros, and that will be a bit of a drop down again unless he really jumps a notch, but he's a skilled athlete with plenty of experience to take with him. And this is another time where he's going to be able to increase that experience as he will come up on stage. There we have Jeffrey Hübscher coming out first. So our second of two guests joining us. And then here he comes now, Tim Anthofer, who's definitely going to have some fans in the audience today. Tim recently traveled to China to compete in the Chinese Newcomer Cup and also to promote timber sports over in China. It's a growing...
Okay,
discipline, a growing sport over there.
Ready.
And here we go
Stand
with
to
Tim
your timber.
and
3,
Jeffrey.
2, 1, go!
7 hits for Jeffrey Hupscher to set that pocket. Tim, he's got about 10 hits to get his board in place. Jeffrey Hupscher up on top now, and Tim right up there. Both of these guys with excellent looking boards. Nice angle on both of them, and they can really be confident pushing off that back foot. Tim Anthofer, he's got his back foot right at the back of the board there, so he can put some power into that driver and really try and get some big chips out. And he wants to make sure he gets that material out of the way and off of that block. Oh no, Jeffrey Hupscher's board came down, so he's got to reset that pocket, put the board in. Hopefully it's not too deep for him now, and is going to get a bit too wiggly and waggly as he gets back up on top. That's a pretty stylish board I like from Jeffrey Hupscher, but now he's got a bit of a sag in there, and that means he's going to need to step forward on the board in order to not put too much pressure on that back of the board and maybe peel the board out of the block. And he's got to work on that top block from more shoulders and hips and using his legs. Tim Anthofer already onto the other side. Let's see if Tim can get through there in under 1:19.12. If he can, he's going to best his personal best time here today. It's looking maybe good. Yes, he's done it. 1:17.15. So 2 seconds faster than his previous personal best. And he's got himself a new time. And that is 1:17.15 unofficially. I expect that that time will also improve a little bit once the competition control center has gotten in there. Jeffrey Hupscher working on that first side still, had to reset that pocket, but he's got himself a lot of material cleared out of there, and he's doing a great job, but he's got to get through there in under 2:30 to get a score here today. But right now, Tim Anthofer with a 1:17.15 personal best time as Jeffrey Hupscher moves to the other side of his block here, tries to get through there as he's just coming up on the 2-minute mark now, and he's done it in 2:00.42. So he's inside that time, but that puts him right now in 3rd place. Florian Hegele with the fastest time of the day so far. Let's see what kind of adjustment they are going to give to Tim Anthofer after the competition control center checks it out. And that's a good sign when Bart gives you the thumbs up at your block. All right, let's head down to the decision zone with Bart
Okay,
Janssen.
ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, both girls are good.
All right, good time after adjustment 1:16.83 for Anthofer and 2:00.15, so a little bit faster for Jeffrey Hupscher, slower than his personal best, but he does have a time in the blocks, and that puts him at the moment in 3rd place. So still hasn't been updated on my scoring screen here, but oh yeah, you can see right there that one driver was going to go through, and that board started to sag big time. It actually looks like it peeled out a major chunk of that block. And meanwhile, Tim Anthofer, he had more or less the perfect board. The only thing I think he really needs to improve on in getting that board in place is trying to do it in 4 hits. If he can get that board in place in 4 hits, then he is really ahead of the game. What a great job. And I don't know why he would be disappointed with that. It's a personal best. I guess he wanted to be under a minute. I don't know, but that looked like a great run for Tim Anthofer for me. All right, and there, Jeffrey Hupscher. The reaction is perfect. Yeah, he knows that board was not good, unfortunately. So there we see Florian Hegele with the fastest time there, gets to 10 points. Tim Anthofer, 9 points in 2nd there. And Jeffrey Hupscher as a guest with the 2-minute time does not count among the Germans because this is a German event and our 2 guests will not be among the German athletes at the top, but that would officially put Jeffrey Hupscher in 3rd place here. So, and because that's our first event, that is also where our overall standings for our Germans are currently, with Florian Hegele on top and Tim Anthofer in 2nd place. Coming up next, we're going to have our stock saw discipline, and we're going to take a look at the tool and discipline there fairly quickly. Our guys are struggling a little bit as their feet get taken a picture of instead of their heads. I don't know, maybe our cameraman there decides that he likes the shoes better than the hat. All right, so if we move on to the next discipline, we are going to have all 12 athletes involved in this one. They have all qualified for the status of being able to compete in this one. And our first heat will be Louis Schindhelm going up against Tom Escher. And here is the discipline.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Okay, directly into the stock saw start list, and as I mentioned, we have Louis Schindhelm up against Tom Escher. Tom Escher, this is his very first competition, so there might be some nerves from his side as we head into this competition with him. As you can see there, the world record for the rookies is 9.09, the season's best 9.73. And the stock saw is a fairly simple discipline to learn, but it's a very difficult discipline to get good at because you really have to have a knowledge of your equipment. Now, it's not about power here. You don't have to push hard, but you do have to know when to push and when not to push, because if you push too hard, the chain on the bar will stop and stall the saw, and you do not want that to happen. The other thing is, as you can see here, Louis Schindhelm is marking his block. These are guidelines because you are not allowed to cut outside the line, or if you have an incomplete cookie, meaning if you cut at a weird angle or whatever and the cookie drops to the ground and is incomplete, then you will get a disqualification. So you'll often see these guys mark the block in order to make sure that their alignment is perfectly right.
Warm up your saw.
So these saws will also be a hot start saw, so that means they'll be left running before the athletes will be able to start the competition. Hands on the block will also be
Stand to
required.
your timber.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice pickup for both of them. Oh, look at that tight cookie right there. But that's a cutout, and we've got a bit of a problem there by Louis Schindhelm, and he's going to have to go back and cut another block. Hopefully he realizes it. It looks like he does. And Tom Escher with a 10.90. Louis Schindhelm went back, and he's got a 17.58. He'll need to improve on those, and there's going to be a quick check by our judges to make sure that no lines were cut over. You could see that cutout right there, and then he went back and recut the cookie. So it looks like he might be okay, and it seems like we're going to have 2 good cuts there to start our stock saw off. Let's hope that's the case.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, both guys are good.
So it looks like Tom Escher and Louis Schindhelm both didn't really have a lot of nerves there. A small mistake by Louis on the opening cut as he got that angle, as I mentioned, a little bit off and started a cutout. And let's take a look at this again. You can see right here the angle of the bar at the front for Louis was a little bit out, and you can see right there he makes the cutout, but thankfully he noticed that. He stopped his saw, restarted up there, and did a complete cut, and then the transition on the upcut. You got to be real careful here that you don't overcompensate and move over too far and cut the line. Both of these guys did very well to cut inside that 10-centimeter line, and yeah, great job for our first cuts of the stock saw, and we have some points in the bucket. And as I said, folks, this is a discipline where feel and control is more important than power and speed. Of course, you want to be fast, but consistent and steady push on the saw is quick. So that's what you want to have. All right, our guest, Rowan Luxton from Great Britain, going up against Stefan Reichert. Tail of the tape has Stefan Reichert being a little bit faster than Rowan Luxton, but you never know out there on the stage what may happen when the guys start to really get the adrenaline pumping. So the last whistle you just heard before the preparation, that's to clear the stage of everybody that doesn't have anything to do with being a cameraman, a judge, or a stage official.
Ready. Uh-oh. Warm up your saw.
I'm not sure where Bart's uh-oh came from and for what reason, but maybe that was a short warning on one of the guys to not pull that start cord too quickly.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, nice quick start by Stefan Reichert, but he had to reset the saw on top. Hopefully that will offer him a complete cookie. Oh, wow, that was a beautiful transition by Stefan Reichert on the upcut. He's pulling a little bit hard, though, and that's going to be 12.53 for Stefan Reichert, a 14.79 for Rowan Luxton. Both cuts appear to be good from my side. Quick check there by Bart Simpson because there was a tag at the very top, so he needs to make sure that that is a complete cookie. We may have a problem here, though, on Stefan Reichert's disc. They're going to have a little discussion about it because he did tag the top of the block, and the cookie does need to be complete, so he needs to cut over a little bit farther. We'll see now in the decision zone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, that's good news for Stefan Reichert. 12.37 will count, and a 14.65 for Rowan Luxton. A great job by both of these guys. A little bit of nervous moments there. And you can see right here, there's the tag, and then he resets the cut, gets in there, and keeps going. So the judges did determine that he had a good cookie. And here you see a little bit of a hover by Rowan, but he gets a big fat cookie to start things off with. One more look at that tag. Oh, yeah, he went over a little bit too far on that one. And then on the upcut for Rowan, he had to reset and recheck a couple of times, but it came close to that line. But here's a beautiful transition from Stefan Reichert. I mean, that was just picture perfect. Pulling a little bit too hard, in my opinion, slowed the saw down, believe it or not. And that probably is why the result was not as fast as he would have liked to have had at 12.37. It could have been maybe a half second faster. All right, so Tom Escher right now in his very first competition is leading the pack with a 10.76 cut on the stock saw. So that's a very good sign for the young man who is competing in his first ever competition, 26 years of age as an intermediate. Coming up now in heat number 3, we have Robin Kons going up against our other guest, Jeffrey Hübscher from Switzerland. Tail of the tape has Kons with a slight advantage, but as I said, anything can happen once you're on stage, and once that adrenaline starts to flow, mistakes can be made. Let's just see how these two guys can handle the pressure of the competition, as Robin Kons clearly has his routine mapped out as he draws his lines, gets his saw set.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, beautiful start by both of these guys. Jeffrey Hübscher with a nice thin cookie to start things off. Oh, the transition was fantastic from both of them. Jeffrey Hübscher with a very fast time, personal best, 10.59. Kons with a personal best, 11.24. Great cuts by both of these guys. Let's see if the cookies count. That first cookie from Hübscher was nice and thin. Look how thin that cookie is from Kons, though. Will it count? Thin to win is the word of the day, and that is as thin as it gets. That is risky thin from Cons right there. Robin Cons with a very tight one.
Congratulations, both cuts are good.
Wow! That cookie from Robin Cons needs to go into the Museum of Thinness. That is crazy that he managed to get that done without breaking that thing off. What a great job by the German Robin Cons, and a nice cut from Jeffrey Hübscher as well. Look at this. The first cookie from Jeffrey Hübscher was nice and thin. Look at this. It's paper thin from Robin Cons. That's unbelievable. The thinner the cookie, the faster the saw will move through it because there's nothing binding on the saw on the way through. And you can see here, that was very close between the two of them on the upcut. And Jeffrey Hübscher with a couple of really nice, clean, thin cookies for the cut. That was there you go. Swiss, what do you expect? Swiss timing, Swiss watches, and Swiss cutting in that case. Good job by Jeffrey Hübscher, but a great job by Robin Cons with that super thin cookie. Save that one for me, guys. I'm gonna make a cheese board out of that. All right, Heat 4 coming up between Felix Mühlhaus and Alex Schendel. The action's been fast and furious for our stock saw today. Schendel, no score yet, as this is his first event here at this level. Felix Mühlhaus does have a personal best of 11:07, so whatever Alex Schendel gets today, except for a DQ, will be his new personal best. And I pray for him that he's going to have a good time and be right there among the top guys. And Tom Escher, hey, he's done a great job here to get himself into the mix with this stock saw being a very quick 10.76, and so far that time is held as the fastest time of the day.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
Also might have heard Guido mention that Alex Schendel is a MMA fighter as well.
Athletes ready.
Trying to expand his skill levels here.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's going to be good body awareness for Alex Schendel as he steps into that first cut. Bit of an angle on that cookie. Nice transition, though, by both of them. Schendel looking good, like he might have a very good time here. Oh, how close was that? 11.62 to 11.84, and that is a great time for a first cut for Alex Schendel. Great job by him to get an 11.62. If that point, or if that will stand as not a DQ, then he'll have that third fastest time of the day. He looks pretty relaxed about everything so far.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so Mühlhaus and Schendel both getting good cuts on that one, but Schendel with a personal best, as we mentioned, of 11.48, and he is right in the mix. Third place right now for Alex Schendel in the stock saw, and that is a very good sign. So good start for both of these guys. Quick on the grab and the lift. The first cut looking great for both of them. The accuracy of that first cut is so important because that sets you up for getting that second cut. And look at this. This is a really, really nice one from Mühlhaus. The transition was also beautiful. Nice and thin. Great angle, keeping the lineup check. And Schendel, wow. It's a bit of a thicker second cookie, but who cares? He got through there with a good time, and he didn't go over the line. Great job. All right, 2 more heats to go in stock saw. And then we'll take a look at the ranking and the overall discipline, which will change slightly among our German athletes because we do have now 2 disciplines in the books. And we'll get to that a little bit later, though. But first up, heat number 5 for stock saw between Jan Reichert and Florian Hegele. Both of these guys couldn't be any closer together in their personal best. 0.2 of a second mark the difference between these two guys. So it should be a good battle on stage.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
Okay. Heat number 5, Jan Reichert, Florian Hegele. Here we go.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice pickup for both guys. Oh boy, that is a massively fat cookie for Jan Reichert. He's got to be careful with the transition cut. Hopefully he's clean. A little bit of trouble by Hegele to try and find his upcut, but he looks like he's found it and he is through. Oh boy, that's close between the two of them, well off of their personal best with 13.93 and a 13.83. So let's see if both of them are fair with their cuts. They both struggle to find their lines a little bit. Could be a cut over the line. Ooh, it's very close, and that looks like a nearly incomplete cookie or cutout. Let's see what our judge says when he comes to the front of the stage. Bard Jansen can be very tough, but he is also very fair, so he'll take as much time as he needs to sometimes puzzle piece together the cookies to make sure that he's got a good, clean cut. You could see them, both of them doing that right there.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Stand 2 is good. Stand 1, DQ, incomplete disc.
All right, so there we have a DQ for our incomplete disc, and for Florian Hegele, that's unfortunate because that means he's going to drop down to the bottom of the list here with no points. Let's see if we could see where that happened. That was a massively thick first cookie, so he really needed to be careful. You can see here. Yeah, you can see that was a big first cookie for him. Meanwhile, that was a good start for Jan Reichert. And then here on the upcut, the transition was a bit of an issue. Jan Reichert trying to find the line. He did eventually find it. And, stock saw stall. And that's what you talk about, pulling too hard. The engine will bog down and slow and sometimes stop the chain, and that becomes a problem. And there you see that we had the good cut from Jan Reichert. Unfortunately for Florian Hegele, he had an incomplete cookie, and Jan Reichert even wondered if he was over the line as he did a quick check underneath to make sure. All right, our last cut coming up, and wow, look at this. Tim Anthofer going up against Leon Pesch, and both of them have under 10-second times as their personal best, and the national record belongs to Leon Pesch. Will he be able to hold on to that today, or will Tim Anthofer be able to best that personal best and national record time? Let's see when it comes down to the actual action on stage. As mentioned, Tim Anthofer, one of the favorites here, one of the guys with probably the most experience of any of the athletes on stage here today, and will definitely be moving up to the pro ranks next season as required because of his age. Leon Pesch.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
Tom Escher, our first-time competitor, still with the top time in stock saw. 10.76 is the time to beat. Maybe one of these two men can do it. Let's see once they get those saws going in the race.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good grab by both of them. That's a fat cut by Leon Pesch right now. He's got to be careful on that upcut. Pretty fat one for Tim Anthofer as well. Oh, he's coming close to a cutout, but Tim Anthofer with 11.78 and 11.96 for Leon Pesch. Both of them staying very consistent with each other. Hopefully nobody's cut over the line, because that will put them in 5 and 6 positions for the moment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so both cuts are good for both of these gentlemen. That will put them in, let's see, 4th place for Tim Anthofer and Leon Pesch in 6th place with the adjusted time. So we have 3 personal bests in there with Tom Escher, Robin Kahns, and Alex Schendel, as well as Louis Schindhem. But right now, the man of the hour for stock saw is definitely Tom Escher. As we look back at that first cut from Tim Anthofer, which was as fat as it gets. And then the second cookie was as thin as it gets. He didn't really have a choice there. He needed to make that second cookie super thin. It was a nice thin cookie also on the second cut for Leon Pesch. So great job by both of these guys. Not their fastest times, but at this point, they just want to be in the mix. So we'll take a quick look at the standings from Stocksaw, and that will give us also a look to our standings for the overall. First up, Stocksaw. So great job by Tom Escher to take the top spot there in his first ever competition, which is fantastic. Robin Cons and Alex Schendel in second and third places there. Tim Anthofer with fourth place, and that makes the standings look like this, with Tim Anthofer taking over top spot in the overall standings, and Tom Escher with the Stocksaw 10 points will sit in second place. Florian Hegele in third place for the moment. So that will change again, because we're also going to see Tom Escher not competing in the next discipline, and that's the standing block chalk. Did I say standing block chalk? I think I might have. Standing block chop, I meant to say. And that's the next discipline coming up. But the Stocksaw, as I mentioned off the top, is fairly easy to learn, but fairly difficult to perfect, as you saw during the heats there. There's a lot of things going on. You can't push or pull too hard, otherwise the chain will stall the saw, and that means releasing the pressure, restarting the chain, and then starting to move it again. These are very dependable machines, the MS661 saws that the guys are using. No adaptations or anything have been made to the motor or the chain, so everybody's having the same conditions. It's really about listening to the saw and learning how the saw feels in your hands, so that you know when it's bogging down, when it's slowing down, when it's not working as efficiently as possible. And you can see the guys that really have a good feel for that often don't look like they're moving fast, but they're cutting very efficiently and clean through the block. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to our next chopping discipline. Now, at the beginning, we saw the springboard with one board, and that's where the guys set the board in place. If you weren't there to join us at the start of the show today, we started off with the springboard, and that is basically a standing block chop 1.5 meters off the ground. Well, now, after the Stocksaw, we are going to move on to our next discipline, and that is the standing block chop, where they get to do this on the ground. And again, with the standing block chop, as with the springboard, you need to qualifying the safety level for this one. So we're going to see a few guys not competing in this one. But first off, let's take a look at the tool and discipline for standing block chop. That is coming up just next.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 27 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result. Well, yes, a powerful and precise swing is important. You also have to have the fitness level, and you also have to really have the experience. And this is what I mentioned off the top here. A lot of guys did not qualify through the safety level of getting to this discipline. So we will see 4 athletes not participating in this one. That's going to be 5 athletes not participating, so we will have 4 heats, and 1 heat will be 1 athlete competing on his own on stage. That will be the first heat with our guest from Great Britain, Rowan Luxton. Stage is being prepared right now, and everything is locked in place. Key for this one is to really be relaxed and not overpower the hits, because sometimes what you'll see, and I'm sure we'll see this several times during this, is an axe will go in with power, but it will take a lot of effort to get the axe back out of the block, and that really is tiring and kills your time. Let's take a quick look at the start list here. As I mentioned, Rowan Luxton, our great British athlete, will be alone on stage. Then we'll have Hübscher against Reichert against Pesch, no confusion there at all. And then Anthofer against Hegele. We'll see those two battling out in the final heat here again. You can see the season's best rookie, 12:48 and 11:90. All right, so Rowan Luxton, 36.10 is his best. He'll definitely be here to try and improve on that. You know, these guys are working on these disciplines on a regular basis. And as we heard Guido say in German earlier on, practice, 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 and more practice to make sure that you really do have this locked down.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so you can see a little bit of a sticky axe right there from Rowan Luxton, and this is what I was talking about. You want to get it in, get it out, and keep hitting. And it's sometimes that driver from the top where you are often able to put a little bit more pressure, and he's moving over to the other side after he feels like he was deep enough on that first side, as starting to chip out nicely now, getting a bit tired. You can see a little bit steppy on that driver here, but we might have a good time from Rowan Luxton. In fact, we might even have a personal best for him as he's done it. 32.53, 4 seconds off his time. Fantastic job from Rowan Luxton from Great Britain. So that is very lovely to see that he has got himself a new personal best. Great job.
Congratulations. Good.
All right, dropping 4 seconds off of his personal best time. He can definitely take that to the bank and be happy with how that went. So now our crew will come in and quickly change the stands and get ready for head-to-head heats here. Again, a reminder, folks, that these head-to-heads heat are not about elimination. It's about gaining the fastest possible time. You can see Rowan just putting everything he's got into it. Obviously, he's been training hard. You can see a little bit steppy there. Cutting new wood means it's slower. Trying to be as on your previous cuts as possible is going to be much faster. And these axes are so incredibly sharp. You can see that just drives right through. Big, strong man there. So Rowan Luxton has started things off for us with a lovely time of 32.30 seconds after adjustment. So, and again, unfortunately for our two guest athletes, Jeffrey Hupscher and Rowan Luxton, they will not be in the mix for actual podium points here today, but they do receive points for their times, based on their times for international results. So it is important for them to do as best they can here today, regardless of the fact that they will not be on the podium. They do have international points at stake for these competitions. So it's a good job for them to do a good job. All right, coming up next in standing block chop number 2, our first head-to-head heat with Jeffrey Hupscher from Switzerland up against Stefan Reichert from Germany. I'm kind of liking Stefan Reichert's shirt. It's a break from the norm of red and black or black on black or the usual. I rather like the fact that he's gone with a different color scheme. Not that this is a fashion show or anything, but yeah, just a point of mention for me.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good start for both of these guys. A bit of a sticky wicket for Reichert right off the start, but Jeffrey Hupscher gets in there fairly quickly and gets that axe moving again. He's got some nice accurate drivers, and that's exactly what we like to see as he moves over to the second side of his block. I'm going to say a good 5 or 6 strokes ahead of Stefan Reichert. And Hupscher on the second side. Now, might he have left too much material on that first side? It depends. Everybody's got to feel comfortable. It looks like he's pretty okay with it as that's starting to shake a little bit. One more driver might do it. And there it's done for Jeffrey Hupscher at 32.03. Reichert just on the second side of his block as Hupscher dropped his. And that means Reichert's going to go well past the 45-second mark here. And not his personal best time, obviously, as he is one more driver to do it at 48.44. But he's got himself a time locked in, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any DQs here so far. So Stefan Reichert with a 48.44 and Jeffrey Hupscher with a 38.81 after adjustment, and 48.20 now for Reichert, who's disappeared off the stage really quickly.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both guns are good.
All right, so Jeffrey Hupscher with a 31.81 after adjustment. Stefan Reichert with a 48.20. also after adjustment. Those adjustments are official times once the timers have hit the stop button and once Competition Control Center has confirmed when the axe actually drove through the block. Sometimes the button timers will see the axe go through the block, but they'll only react once the block leaves the top. And our Competition Control Center, with their really accurate high-speed cameras, can just double-check that when the axe actually drove through the blocks to split the wood and give us our official final time. And you can see here, Jeffrey Hübscher really working hard on that second side. I was under the impression he might have left a bit too much material on that first side, but he felt confident in his cuts, and you can see here from Stefan Reichert, he had some really nice cuts on that second side to start driving in. And there's that final driver from Hübscher. Great job by him to gain some good points here today. And he seems pleased with that with a thumbs up. Not his personal best, but he'll take it. One more driver here for Reichert. And he'll finish it off and be the first man to drop some points in for our Germans. So the other Reichert in the competition coming up now, and that is Jan Reichert going up against Leon Pesch. There is a theory out there among timber sports athletes that if the saws are cutting slow, the axes will cut fast, and vice versa. It seems today like the saws are cutting quick and the axes are a little bit slower. So we'll see if that theory holds water as these two guys get going on their standing block chop. Two Germans against each other. Leon Pesch with a 50-41, who actually had
athletes ready.
The national record
Stand
for stock saw.
to your timber.
Here we go. Jan Reichert, Leon
3,
Pesch.
2, 1, go!
Oh, Jan Reichert might have had a very close to the ticket start and might be in trouble with the jump start. I hope not. Leon Pesch, on the other hand, it looked to me like he got in good time. This is really about being able to work the angles of that axe and having good accuracy on your drivers. Now you see right there from Leon, it was a straight cut in. Now you're not cutting anything away. You're not chipping anything away. Both of these guys moving over to the second side of their block, and you can see Leon Pesch using a lot of his shoulders to push through that block instead of pushing off of that back leg and really twisting his hips and using that core strength to try and cut through. And a lot of straight cuts from him to try and power through it. So he needs to work on the skill level and the fine nuances of the block. Meanwhile, Leon Reichert had a thread holding on, but he gets it done in 50-22. Leon Pesch trying to get through one or two more drivers as he's trying to cut straight through, and he finally does baseball it at 58-9-1. And then the slow-mo, we'll look back at that a little bit more closely, and I'll try and illustrate what I mean by straight cuts. When these guys first start, they're hitting from the bottom to the up cut, and we'll just wait for the result here really quickly, but I think we're both safe.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so 51-48 for Reichert and 58-64 for Pesch. And we'll take a look back at the slow-mos here as our stage crew gets to work on cleaning up that stage and replacing the new stands for the next heat coming up. So right away you can see those drivers from down low are the ones that are the most difficult to really angle correctly. And this is one of the reasons why you have to qualify for this discipline as a safety aspect, because if that axe skips away and you lose control of the axe, then it can be very dangerous. And making sure that you get those cuts into the block is very important. So there's a nice angle, you can see that. And now here, we might see that straight cut right there. There's no angle. There's the angle that you need to get the chips out of the way, but there wasn't the accuracy that was needed. So there's a lot of stepping going on here for both of these guys, and that is just about what's happening here. It's trying to get experience. And there, that really frustrating little thread that can add up to a second sometimes of time onto your cut, because you got to go back, re-swing, and cut that little piece off. And there, the final baseball driver through with a straight cut. He did cut it through, but a lot of steppiness in that block, so the accuracy just wasn't 100% there. All right, so great job so far, Jan Reichert, Leon Pesch, and heat number 4 coming up. Our final heat in this discipline is between Tim Anthofer and Florian Hegele. Stage seems to be pretty well set as our guys get the last bits of the chips and sawdust away from the area there. And those little pieces that you see him blowing away, those can really be problematic when you get them underfoot. Look at the time here from Tim Anthofer, though, under 20 seconds. And Florian Hegele just under 30 seconds. Could be a good heat between these two guys as they try and push each other as quickly as possible. Tim Anthofer, again, our favorite here today. And it looks like he has opted for a banana blade, if I can see that correctly.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good start for both of these guys right away into the block, and it didn't seem like anybody jumped the gun on that one. And you could see Tim Anthofer with some nice angles, keeping those hits as accurate as possible, and that's really what you want to see. Right there, you saw that big piece that was hanging on by a thread. Those things can be a little bit treacherous. They get in the way of your driver, and you can't really see where you want to go. But if you've got your practice lined up and you're good to go with it, it doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure it's out of the way. You can see on Tim's block, there's a knot in there. Oh, and this is going to be a good hit for Florian Hegele. 29:13. That is a great time for him, under 30 seconds. And Tim Anthofer over the 20-second mark, over the 30-second mark with 35:77. So great job by both of these guys. Florian Hegele with the fast time of the day, though, with 35:3, and Tim Anthofer sitting in second place with a 35:51 after adjustment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both girls are good.
So there we see the official times after adjustments. And we are having some good heat so far from Klingenthal here at the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS German Newcomer Championship 2024. Looking back at this heat here. And again, that whole headspace of if it's chopping slow, it's sawing fast may well stand true here today, as both of these guys are a little bit slower than their personal best fastest times. But Florian Hegele did what he needed to do to cut through there. And boy, he had everything on that last driver. Tim Anthofer was about 2 or 3 drivers behind him. And there you could see a little bit of a sticky wicket for Tim as he tried to get that axe out. And one last driver for him as he inspects with disappointment that block. So standing block chop results, Hegele on top, Anthofer in second place, and Stefan Reichert sitting in third place with Jan Reichert right behind him in fourth place. Let's see how that affects our overall standings here today. And that means Tim Anthofer will add to his points total. Florian Hegele will move into second place. Stefan Reichert moves into third place. Leon Pesch now holding on fourth, and Jan Reichert in fifth place, tied for 10 points with Tom Escher. Tom Escher, who is a first-timer in this event, a first time competing, did a great job on that stock saw to give himself the top 10 points. So he is in good position now to still do some damage in single buck and underhand chop. So in the single buck, we will have a full complement of heats, all 6 full heats with 2 athletes in each heat. Again, it's about gaining as many points as possible with the fastest time possible. And sometimes single buck can really be the difference maker for these guys because it is not the most difficult discipline to learn. I mean, I cut the single buck in 40 seconds with an old M-cut saw, and, you know, it wasn't fantastic for an old man. These guys are cutting in some pretty incredible times. World record is 9.01 seconds, and we've got season's best 16:66. So let's take a look first at the discipline and tool for the single buck coming up right now, and you'll find out a little bit more about the misery whip.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10 centimeter long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into two types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, here we go. Single buck, full complement of heats, as I said. All 6 with 2 athletes in each heat, including our guest athletes, will be competing in heats 4 and 5. And we are going to start things off with Louis Schindhelm and Tom Escher in the first heat. Tom Escher, as I mentioned, had a really, really good stock saw, 10 points, the fastest time of the day in stock saw, and that puts him in good standing to do well here in the single buck. Now, if he can cut well, and as I mentioned, sawing discipline seems to be cutting well, and for Tom Escher, this is an opportunity for him to gain some important points and move to the top of the list, or not the top of the list necessarily, but you know, if he can cut a good single buck here, then he might get himself the points that he needs to be among the top 5, let's say, at this point. But there is one more discipline after this, which is the underhand chop. But let's see how these two gentlemen, Louis Schindhelm right there, go up against each other. Tom Escher on the other side behind him, as you can see, these long, 2 meter long crosscut saws. Now, before we got to the description of this discipline, I mentioned that some athletes call them the misery whip, and I'm kind of hoping these guys don't find out why it's called the misery whip, but occasionally when that saw stops mid-cut, then you've got the saw bowing, and it's very difficult to get it restarted. And we have a bit of an issue with that set at the start. We might have to recut that with the motor saw and make sure that it is fair for the start. It looks like he's gone a bit too deep on that, so Tom will set his saw aside, and they'll bring up the motor saw to get a cut there. So final cut there, just to make sure that that block is straight and fair. Our judges will remark that block, and then Tom will bring his saw back into place. And that metal bar that you see our judge holding there, that is to set the depth of the pre-cut of that single buck saw so that the athletes aren't starting the cut from the top. And now Tom went in a little bit too aggressively to start, and so they had to reset everything, which delays it. So right now they're just giving Tom a little bit of a, hey, slow down bit here. All right, so, and then you could see there a final check to make sure that that drop-in is safe. One final little push through, and Tom Escher's saw will be in position. And now what he'll do is he'll just reset it to make sure that he is absolutely in the position that he wants to be in to start. Meanwhile, Louis Schindhelm is waiting patiently to get this started. You could see how those teeth and sweepers are so aggressive. Unbelievable.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Really deep starting cut or not starting cut, but there is the misery whip start for Tom Escher. Louis Schindhelm, he's quick on the cuts, but he is very inefficient with the movements. As you can see, Tom Escher getting stuck again. He's rocking the saw back and forth, which tends to lock the teeth into place there, and that's just a learning process for him. And Tom Escher with a 22.72, Louis Schindhelm with a 17.90. Both of them are going to get personal best there. Great job by both of them. Tom Escher hoping for a little bit better on that one, but 22.72 is very, very good time. And with adjustments there, 22.44 and a 17.68, and both these guys will be super pleased with that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so we have 2 good cuts there to start it off for our German athletes as we'll go to heat number 2. And that will be between Leon Pesch and Robin Cons. And we'll take a look back here at what started. So right away you could see for Tom Escher, he got a couple of good hits in there. And right there, the misery whip takes effect. He put a little bit too much angle, got that blade caught, and the teeth hooked up. Meanwhile, Louis Schindhelm, a little bit of trouble at the bottom of the cut. He had a big, thick cookie there. He wanted to go on the safe side, a little bit more material on that, but it means it drags on the saw a bit more. And Tom Escher, a good job. First ever competition for him, so he can be pleased about how he's performing so far today. So right now, Louis Schindhelm, his 17.68 seconds is the time to beat to take over the top spot in single buck. So Leon Pesch coming up next. There's a personal best of 27.8. Robin Cons a 30.57. So tail of the tape at the moment has Louis Schindhelm in good stand. Let's see how that will stay, if it stays at all. Another thing that's really important about setting this saw in place is that you make sure, and you can see right there with Leon, he is checking to make sure that he's absolutely in alignment. You don't want that saw at a strange angle so that when it gets to the bottom, you've got a cutout. He's also opted to go in a little bit deeper on the block. Some athletes will opt to go a little bit closer to the front edge. As I mentioned, it does help with the binding on the saw. It doesn't bind as much on the saw. In the past, we've seen some of these heats with assistance. And with assistance makes it a little bit easier. You have a wedger sprayer on stage with you, but these are now all done without assistance. And you can see those really aggressive cutting teeth with the 3 prongs and the little one that looks like a Y upside down. That is a sweeper
Stand
tooth.
to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Robin Cons immediately getting hooked up. Both of the guys a little bit, but Leon Pesch finally gets that saw moving. It's really about getting the rhythm going and not rocking the saw back and forth at all. You also want to try and use as much of the full length of that saw as possible. And Robin Cons looking like he's got a good flow going. A couple of times he got hooked up a bit, and now Leon Pesch gets hooked up a bit and has to restart that saw, but he's getting close to the bottom of it, and he's got the cut through at 24.33. Robin Cons still working to get through to the bottom of his cut, and he's done it in a personal best 30.14. So nicely done by Robin Cons. Gets himself a good improvement on his 30.57 previous to a 30.14 right now. So ever improving is always good. Louis Schindhelm still holding on to the top spot in single buck so far.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so it even gets a little bit better for Robin Cons, under 30 seconds after correction, and a 23.99 for Leon Pesch. Very good job. And that puts him in Leon Pesch in 3rd place and Robin Cons in 4th place in single as we look back at the start here. So right away, there was a bit of a hookup for Robin Cons as that saw kind of skipped across the top through his set cut. But once he got going, he got down to about the midway point of the cut and also got stuck again. The same thing happened for Leon Pesch, not quite as badly, but it really was for Leon Pesch about getting to the bottom of that cut. Right here, you can see he just opted for short cutting it there, not going for those really long, efficient cuts, and more or less axed through the bottom. So he just wanted to get that done and dusted and get a time in the books here. And Robin Cons, the last couple of cuts for him look pretty clean. All right, heat number 3 coming up with Jan Reichert and Alex Schendel. So we saw Alex Schendel earlier on in the stock saw doing quite well. First time for him. He managed to get himself a nice personal best in stock saw. sitting in third place in stock saw with 11.48. So in the single buck, will he be able to cut well? Perhaps that physical training from MMA will really help him out, especially in the muscle fatigue part of this discipline, because when you get partway through that cut, your body starts to say, no, I don't want to do anymore. And then you have to really push through to make sure that you keep that saw moving. So fitness plays a major role here for this discipline, as well as coordination and rhythm.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by both these guys, but Alex got a little bit hooked up on that draw through, and then the push again, and both of them are getting hooked up badly, but it looks like Reichert has finally started to get the flow, and now Schendel's got it. As long as he doesn't rock that saw, he did it again. Oh my goodness, look at the time for Jan Reichert, 16.70, obliterating his previous time by 2 seconds, and he's got himself a personal best, and that is the top spot in the competition so far. Great job by Jan Reichert. And Alex Schendel gets through in a very nice 21.71. Let's see what the adjustment says.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
Oh, and Jan Reichert with a national record season's best 16.49, and Alex Schendel with a fantastic 21.50. That's a nice way to start things off into his competition career there. And Jan Reichert will take that national record to the bank any day. And look at that, even with the rough start that Jan Reichert had, he still managed to get that national record. Imagine where he'd be without that sticky start off the hop. So new time to beat, 16.49 by Jan Reichert, and yeah, he got it caught up a couple of times. So I can only imagine once he really works on that efficiency and those long strokes and keeping that saw moving, he is going to be really, really, really a formidable single sawyer, and he's pleased by that heat, and he should be. Great time for Jan Reichert at 16.49 and taking the new national record. All right, coming up next, we have heat number 4, and that's going to be Rowan Luxon, our guest from Great Britain, and Stefan Reichert. And the Brits are known for being very good single sawyers. There's a lot of guys coming from Great Britain, and girls, I might add, that are cutting incredibly quick in the single saw, and you could see 16.58 tail of the tape. If he can keep even close to that, he'll get a good time here today. And I mean, he won't it won't bother any of our German athletes, but that could be very well set up for him, and perhaps even a national record for the young man. You could see here, just with an easy push with that saw through, he gets very quickly into the wood, and that's how aggressive these saws are. And in theory, you could use that saw with one hand on the block. Your time would be incredibly slow, but you could use that with one hand on the block to get through there. So these are efficient cutting saws. It's about finding the efficiency with some speed for the racing here.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by Rowan Luxon as he gets right into it. No hookups for him at all. Stefan Reichert had a little bit of hookup at the start, and again another little hookup there. Will he get through there in a good time? It's not going to be that fast time today, I don't believe, but he is going to get there in a good time of 17.73, and Rowan Luxon a 19.12, and I do believe both of those times will drop significantly once our competition control center has their hands on the button. Let's see. Personal best for Rowan Luxon, 16.58. Didn't reach that today. Neither did Stefan Reichert, but both of them getting a little bit of improvement, 18.77 and a 17.49 respectively for these two guys.
Congratulations. Both guys are good.
So Rowan and Stefan both getting under 20-second times. That puts them among the top 5. Obviously, Rowan not going to be among the German athletes at the end of the day, but great time for him, and managed to get some good points for him on the international level. But Jan Reichert so far still with the fastest time in the national record, 16.49. Stefan Reichert drops in right behind him at 17.49, 1 second slower. Louis Schindhelm, still 17.68, solid score. And Alex Schendel, top 4 there with a 21.50. Tom Escher with a 22.44 among the top 5. Good job for him. So that was heat 4 done and dusted. 2 more heats to go. Single buck, heat number 5 coming up, and that's going to be between Jeffrey Hübsche from Switzerland and Felix Mühlhaus from Germany. Swiss also well known for their single saw abilities. They've got some excellent single sawyers there. That's to take nothing away from the single sawyers in Germany at all. We have excellent athletes here, but some nations just have a tendency to favor one discipline over the others. As a nation, Germany is excellent with the motor saw in hand. I mean, you could see some of our records in stock saw and hot saw are incredibly fast. So there's Felix Mühlhaus. He'll be looking to have a good time here today. His fastest time, 16.39. So if he can do that,
okay,
he'll grab.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, very sticky start for both of these guys here. And Felix Mühlhaus finding the misery whip in that one big time as he has to readjust that saw. His angle is a little bit off and it's taking him a long time to get restarted. Meanwhile, whoa, Hübsche with a personal best 15.04. That's the fastest time of the day. And if we look at the actual time of sawing from Felix Mühlhaus, that was a quick cut, but unfortunately it took him a long time to get that saw started. I think it probably would have been 15 seconds for Mühlhaus had he not gotten so stuck off the start. Wow. What an unbelievable situation there for Felix Mühlhaus. He's going to be disappointed by that, but Jeffrey Hübsche will be happy with those points.
Congratulations, both kids are good.
So after adjustment, Jeffrey Hübsche's time even got a little bit faster, just a hair over 14 seconds. So that's a great job by our Swiss guest. You can see here, he got that saw moving, and once it was moving, a little hookup there. You can always see when the hookups happen. It's when you change the angle of the saw and start to rock it. If you keep the saw moving just like he's doing right now, that's nice and efficient. Knuckles to tip, he's got it going. And for Mühlhaus, it was just trouble off the start. Once he did get the saw going, though, he was extremely efficient in his cut. Used the entire length of the saw to really get working. One little hook up there at the bottom, and that caused that misery whip to take action again. But then he got a nice fast cut towards the bottom there. So once he was actually rolling, he was excellent. But that top and mid just caused huge time delays for him. All right, moving on to our final heat, heat number 6 between Tim Anthofer and Florian Hegele, 2 of the faster guys in the list here today. Let's see if Tim Anthofer can really bring it home for the Germans and hold on to that top spot in the overall standings right now. He does have hold of it right now with 25 points after Stefan's heat previous. With the single buck, Stefan has moved into second place with 21 points. So Tim's got to have a good cut here to try and gain ground on the rest of the pack that's chasing him. Sometimes you'll also see the guys put the saws in upside down and do a couple of practice runs through to clear out the slough that's left in the space there. And you actually see Florian Hegele doing that to the risk of a DQ if he's not careful.
Okay.
To try and move out some material that could be seen as cutting illegal.
Stand to your timber.
Safe in this case.
3, 2, 1, go!
Tim Anthofer starts off with a couple of short chop runs and then gets that saw moving, really using his length to his advantage deep in the knees. He's not going for the full efficient cuts, but wow, look at that! A 13.54 for Florian Hegele. 13.54 will put him at a new national record. Wow, what an incredible cut that was from Florian Hegele. Tim Anthofer with an 18.06. Holy smokes, folks. Florian Hegele moves into second place with a solid 30 points. Tim Anthofer holding on to the top spot with 31 points.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
But Hegele, wow, look at that cut. I don't know why we're not seeing a national record there from Florian Hegele, which we saw with Jan Reichert. I think that needs to change, and I might need to check my status there. The world record is 9:01. Nah, that's his rookie and intermediate scores that I'm seeing here. So, yeah, that's the difference maker here. It's a national record from Jan Reichert. And Florian Hegele gets a personal best of 13.94 for the intermediates. Okay, so that's where we stand there. You can see Tim Anthofer. Almost looks like he's struggling a little bit, but he kept the saw moving, so not his personal best time. But Florian Hegele absolutely over the moon about that time as he celebrates with the audience there. That's a big fat block there for Tim. Probably would have wanted to have it a little bit closer to the edge, but he took away from the risk. So there you see Florian Hegele, 13.34. Jan Reichert with a 16.49. That's national record for the intermediates. And then Stefan Reichert in third place there with a 17.49. How that changes in the overall standings, got a little bit of jumping around now. Tim Anthofer holds onto that top spot, taking only 6 points from the single buck, but it will give him enough points to be in the top spot. Florian Hegele, however, takes a full 10 from this one and gets up to 30 points, 10 points ahead of Stefan Reichert in third place, who gets 8 points out of that discipline. And that changes the overall standings a little bit. A little bit of shuffling in the bottom, a little bit of shuffling in the mid, and we've got some new guys in second and third place. So that means it's all open in those top 3 spots for our German athletes. So the single buck really did make a difference for some of these guys, as I mentioned off the top with that particular discipline. If you do it efficiently and quickly, you can really get through there and add some good points to your time. And now we're going to have a quick look at the axe from Christoph Lang. I saw him shaving his arm earlier with this. Maybe we can get a view of that as well. It is so incredibly sharp. The axe that he's got there is a wedge type axe, and you can see, look at that, shaving his arm with the axe. Please be careful, boys. You know, that is insane how sharp that axe is. It's unbelievably sharp, razor sharp, in fact. And we are going to take a look at the tool and discipline for the underhand chop right now.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, there's our start list, and Schindhelm will go up against Escher, our first-timers here on the top. Escher coming in as an intermediate, Schindhelm as a rookie, and you can see next to their names who's a rookie. And if there's no rookie next to the name, it does mean they are in the intermediate category, but it is still the German Newcomer Cup here. So, first heat up, and a couple of smiling guys going up against each other on stage once again, as this pairing has been on stage together prior, and they'll get ready for this heat. And again, 2 axes on stage, just in case, you never know. One axe doesn't cut well, one axe gets damaged, a handle gets broken. We have seen it happen in the past where they've had to switch axes quickly. Now you'll see here that the guys have footholds that they're standing on. There's also a blue line, if you could just see that where the foothold is, that they are not allowed to cut inside of. So there is the possibility of a DQ for a cut foothold they have to be careful of. Here we go. Heat 1 on the blocks,
to your
and
timber.
we're ready to go.
3, 2, 1, go!
And this is for all the marbles for some of these guys trying to get as many points as they possibly can here. And the underhand chop is one of those disciplines where a lot of guys start the axe work. And it is where they learn to work the angles and work the power of the axe, being able to choke up on the axe for the lift and be able to be back on the handle as Schindhelm moves over to the other side quickly. Looks like his drivers are nice and accurate with some really good chips flying off there. I wish somebody had adjusted that camera for a little bit of a clearer view, though, as it's kind of fuzzy from that position. And Schindhelm looking very good as he gets to the 35-40 second mark as he's closing in on 40, but looks like he's close to being through that block. What's really important here is to make sure that you cut through completely, and it is getting close. Tom Escher, meanwhile, closing in on 50 seconds on the second side. He's well behind Schindhelm, and Schindhelm 52.33. That'll be a personal best. He'll take that one, and it looks like it was a clean set of cuts, and I hope that that axe in the block isn't a problem for him. We'll see what Bart Janssen has to say as Tom Escher trying to get through his block. Coming past the 1 minute 10 second mark here. He's got a bit of a dark spot in there, what means is probably a knot, and a knot tends to be a little bit harder to cut through, and now he's starting to get tired, a little bit steppy, but he is through in 1:22.86. That will also be, for the first time, a personal best time, and that's a great job for both of these guys. The only problem we have is, and I think that right now Bart Janssen is giving him the riot act about putting that axe back in the block as he did.
Liebe Leute, both girls are good, aber ich habe ihm gerade verwarnt, wenn du fertig bist, bist du fertig. Dann darfst du die Axt nicht mehr reinschlagen, das kostet Zeit und ist im Foothold. Aber
okay, so this is exactly what I thought, and this was the clarification from Bart Janssen to our German audience, that the cut is good. They're going to allow it this time, but because he did put the axe back in the block and he did cut the foothold, that would, in normal circumstances, be constituted as a time penalty and in some cases a DQ. So this is what this is all about. These guys in the rookie and intermediate categories are here to learn and become better timber sports athletes, and that's exactly one of those situations that comes up. So a great job by both of these guys, and they're going to allow Louis Schindhelm's time of 52.05 to stand. Tom Escher's 1:22.49 will also stand. Both cuts were good on both sides. So a very good job, and here we see that final driver from Louis Schindhelm. Great job from the young man. All right, so setting it up for the next heat coming up, it's going to be Leon Pesch up against Robin Kons. tail of the tape has Leon Pesch slightly faster than Robin Cons by about 6 seconds and change. So left-hand side, we see Leon Pesch in the red, and on the right-hand side, Robin Cons in the green. A lot of people often wonder as well, these guys are in soft shoes on that block, but they are wearing protective chainmail socks in case.
3, 2, 1, go!
Little bit of a pause there by Leon to get that axe going, but he did get into it. Robin Cons got nice pace there as he's trying to get more drivers into that block and get it done as quickly as possible on that first side. There's a big slab that's waiting to come out, so that's just sort of getting in his way. Should go now. There it is. Robin Cons looking good in the green as he is pretty deep on that first side. He'll probably be a little bit more open on the second side. Leon Pesch still on this first side. Who's going to go over to the second side first? I believe it's going to be Robin Cons. Leon Pesch stepping over gingerly to that second side and get started. Robin Cons should already be well into his second side. Yep, there we see a little bit more of an open cut by Leon Pesch. Hopefully he's really careful with those drivers as he's getting kind of close to that foothold there. And Robin Cons well into that second side. In the green shirt right in front of our camera position here, and it looks wiggly waggly. That should go fairly quickly here. One more should do it, and he's through in 59.95. Robin Cons doesn't have a personal best there, about 7 seconds off his personal best time, but he is through the block. And now Leon Pesch trying to get through his second side. And again, one more driver here. Maybe two should do it for Leon Pesch. Oh, he's got a sticky one. He's got to step back up there and get through, and he's done it in 1:18.94. Disappointing time for both of these guys as far as their personal bests are concerned, but in particular for Leon Pesch, who had a great cut in the stock saw, but not so good with the axes today.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So Leon Pesch with a 1:18.68. That is well off his personal best, 26 seconds to be precise, and 7.61 seconds off of Robin Cons' personal best of 52.59. But the times are locked in place, and at the moment, Tom Escher is still at the bottom of the pack with 1:22.49. Leon Pesch slips into third place there with a 1:18.68. Louis Schindhem still with the fastest time at the top of the underhand chop results with a 52.05. As we take a look back at the slow-mos here. Robin Cons really working hard on that first side. He went with quick axe drivers and a little bit closer cut on the first side, but then once he got onto the second side, he opened up a bit and went for the more powerful blows, or drivers as we call them. And there you see that final hit from Leon Pesch. And how quickly these guys are set up on stage is always amazing to me. Our stage crew doing a fantastic job of getting everything set up for our athletes. And next up will be Alex Schendel going up against Felix Mühlhaus. And you'll also often see that the rookie national records and world records are faster than the intermediate national records and world records. And that's by virtue of the fact that the rookies tend to be competing a little bit longer than the intermediates. And why that is because intermediates are athletes that come into the sport with a little bit of experience perhaps, but they come into the sport at an older age. So from the age of 26 on, and maybe don't have as much of experience and training as some of our rookies do.
Stand
just so that there's
to
no
your
confusion
timber.
there, folks. Here we
3,
go.
2, 1, go!
Great start by Mühlhaus, who really anticipated that start with a nice big upswing. Alex Schendel getting in there with some nice accurate cuts. Ooh, a little bit of a hop on that block there as he steps down. Needs to get back up, but it was good that he paid attention to getting back up before he swung that axe. If you swing that axe with your foot on the ground, that is a DQ. Now you can see there a couple of steps in the cuts for Mühlhaus, and that means that his cuts aren't super accurate as they both move over to the second side, pretty much even with each other. Schendel looking good on his side of the block there as he's getting some nice drivers getting in there. Fairly accurate. You can see he's pretty good on line. Oh, but it's Mühlhaus with a personal best 41.3 as he gets through there. Schendel, a little bit of a narrower cut on the second side. And looks like he's not really using the power to his advantage as he's almost elbowing in more than he is really using big drivers from on high and giving himself the advantage of that momentum. And there he is through in 1:02.29. He'll take that personal best as well as he takes a quick inspection of the block after his cut. Looks like we have some good cuts there. I hope no footholds were cut, but it seems okay. Oh, maybe we do have a cut foothold. A double check from our judges. Oh, it does look like we have a cut foothold.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, DQ, stand A, good foothold. However, stand 2 is good.
All right, so we do have a cut foothold for Alex Schendel. This is what I explained at the top of this particular discipline. You have to be careful. It's a safety aspect for these guys to make sure that their feet are in fact safe. And even with the chainmail socks, a toe can be broken with that axe hitting there, which is the reason why those footholds are there. And you can see that little bounce right there from Schendel. And got to be real careful with these cuts here. These axes are incredibly sharp, as you saw earlier on when Christoph Lang was shaving his forearm. I wouldn't recommend using these axes in the shower to do any manscaping, folks, but you can see they are very sharp. These are racing axes. These are definitely not axes that you would see in use in the forest on the daily basis. Good cut, though, from Felix Mühlhaus, who takes over the top spot with a 39.74 in underhand. We are really getting through these heats quickly here today, and heat number 4 coming up with Jan Reichert and Stefan Reichert going up against each other on stage once again. Jan Reichert fully concentrated for this one.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good start by Jan Reichert. He anticipated the go very well with axe in air. As long as he does not impact that block before the go signal, he is safe to hit. And gets into that block right away. Some nice chips flying off for Jan Reichert as well as Stefan Reichert. Both of them getting some good slabs out of there. Nice accurate cuts for both of these guys. So let's see who moves over to the other side first. I kind of have a feeling it's going to be Stefan Reichert the way he's hitting at the moment. No, it's going to be Jan Reichert. My mistake. Jan Reichert moves over to the second side of his block about 3-4 strokes ahead of Stefan Reichert. So Jan Reichert has the advantage with time at the moment, working on that second side. Some nice accurate hits there. Really good on that right side of his block, our left side of TV screen. And everybody's got a chocolate side. It seemed like Jan Reichert's is the right side of his block. Stefan Reichert on his second side now. Jan Reichert closing in on a minute here. Both of these guys passing over the minute mark, so let's see how fast it's going to be before they get through these blocks here. Jan Reichert coming close. Stefan Reichert still got a bit of work to do. Jan Reichert 1:08.79, so a little bit slower than his personal best. Stefan Reichert has been faster by quite a stroke, and he's 37 seconds off his fastest time of 43.07 with a 1:17.45. So both of these guys close to the bottom of the list here in underhand chop. Neither of them satisfied with their runs. And
okay, ladies and gentlemen,
chopping is slower today.
Congratulations, both cuts are good.
All right, so we are down to our last two heats, Heat 5 and 6, with Florian Hegele, Rowan Luxton, and Tim Anthofer and Jeffrey Hübscher. As we look at the highlights from both these guys, right off the stop, or right off the hop, I would say, excuse me, both of them were in sync with each other until a bit of a sticky axe by Jan Reichert, and that got them out of sync. And on that first side, some big chips waiting to fly. There we go. And as the confidence builds on these disciplines, you'll see guys jumping and hopping over to the other side of their blocks as opposed to gingerly stepping around on the block. You got to be careful with that, though. You don't want to mess around and take a risk with that razor sharp axe in hand there. And we can see that final driver from Jan Reichert, and a couple more here for Stefan as he gets through, but both of them not really satisfied with those times, and they'll definitely be wanting to come back and improve on that. So far, we've had 3 personal bests. Tom Escher with a 122.49, and our top 2 guys, Felix Mühlhaus with a 39.74, and Louis Schindhem with a 52.05. Heat number 5 with Florian Hegele and Rowan Luxton from Great Britain coming up next. So here is an opportunity for Florian Hegele to take over the top spot. If he can get a good fast time and be faster than Tim Anthofer in this discipline, he will take over the top spot in the overall leaderboard. So Florian Hegele, it's his to lose here.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by Florian Hegele as he gets in with some really frequent drivers on that first side, and he is looking very good. He has a fast time of 35.27 as his personal best, so he is well underway to perhaps doing that, and if he can do it, we have exactly that situation I talked about from Rowan Luxton. He broke an axe handle, had to get down and change that. No panic on his side, though. A couple of drivers on the first side, and goes over to the second side to start cutting through. Florian Hegele, meanwhile, trying to get into that low 30s as he has done it in 33.49, a personal best for Florian Hegele. That bodes very well for him, as right now he has put the pressure squarely on Tim Anthofer's shoulders here to do a good cut on this underhand chop. But Florian Hegele, what a fantastic cut. And Rowan Luxton, also amazing, under a minute after breaking his axe handle, got the other axe out there and cut through the rest of the way. Great job by our Brit. That is unfortunate.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So Florian Hegele, look at that time, a 33.29 after adjustment, a personal best for Florian, and that really puts the pressure on Tim Anthofer now to have an absolutely immense cut in the underhand chop if he wants to have the win here today. So Florian Hegele right now 9 points ahead of Tim Anthofer after this fantastic cut here on the underhand. And he has, as I said, put the pressure on our favorite. And here we see maybe the axe break. Oh yeah, right there. Ah yeah, the axe got in a little bit hard on the handle. And that means he needed to remove that axe and get the other axe ready to go. But I mean, the composure of that young man from Great Britain to do that so cleanly and then come through still under a minute. That was such a fantastic job by him. And there you see the celebration from Florian Hegele with a great cut. All right, so Tim Anthofer's best time is 26.73. he has to have at least a 33-30 in order to take the spot back from Florian Hegele. If they tie, that means it will go to Tim Anthofer because of his previous times in the earlier heats, but he's got to be good. And that means there's a lot of pressure on Tim Anthofer as the favorite here today to perform in this underhand chop. And he knows it, but hopefully he can just leave the pressure behind and just have a really good cut here on the underhand. Let's see how he does going up against Jeffrey Hübscher from Switzerland. It is only about the time, nothing else here. Folks, this is it. Okay. This is for all the marbles. Our last heat will determine our newcomer champion.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Tim Anthofer got into it right away. Jeffrey Hübscher, holy smokes, folks. How quick is he with that axe in hand? And boy, there's that Swiss accuracy again. So clean on those cuts. And he's over to the other side quickly. Tim Anthofer on the other side as well as both of these guys getting into that second side. 20-second mark has now been passed by both of them. Jeffrey Hübscher looking very good on his second side. Tim Anthofer also looking very good. Tim Anthofer done it! A personal best 26:21. The fastest time of the day. Absolutely blisteringly quick. And that means Tim Anthofer will take the full 10 points in the heat, and that means he'll go to 41 points, and that means the win for Tim Anthofer today. And Jeffrey Hübscher also with a fantastic personal best, 25:11. What an incredible final heat there, and Tim Anthofer has done it, and both cuts are good. Wow! What a run from Anthofer. We were concerned about whether he'd be able to pull it off. He stayed calm, cool, and collected. He had ice in his veins for that last set of hits, and he has done it with a personal best. Unbelievable. Florian Hegele gets shuffled back to second place. Tim Anthofer will win it with 41 points. How close was that? Look at this heat between these two guys, though, and I can probably safely say that Jeffrey Hübscher's pace really pushed Tim Anthofer to try and keep up. He knew in the side of his mind it didn't matter, but out of the side of his eye, he could see that Jeffrey Hübscher was just as quick as lightning and wanted to keep up with the Swiss man, and he did such a great job to actually get faster on the second side of that block, if you can believe it. And here we go with the last couple of drivers from Anthofer. And wow, he did a great job, kept up with the Swiss man, and the Swiss man, I think, might have pushed Anthofer to the win here today. And Jeffrey Hübscher also super pleased with that run. So our two guests have done a great job here today to gain some excellent points in the international standings. And what a great job by Tim Anthofer. So the underhand chop definitely belonged to Anthofer by 7 seconds plus. Had a great job there. Hegele, he had a great run as well. Just was not quite as fast as Anthofer. He did have the top spot for a short moment, but Anthofer ended up taking it. And our final results, there you go. Anthofer takes the top spot. Hegele in second place, so our two rookies in 1 and 2. And Jan Reichert as an intermediate is in third place on the podium today with 24 points. But it wasn't much in between the top two guys there. So, yeah, between those two guys at the top, Tim Anthofer and Florian Hegele, it's only 2 points difference. Fantastic.
Ja, jetzt steht da bei mir der deutsche Meister.
We head down to Toby Witten, our on-stage moderator.
Danke sehr. Wie fühlst du jetzt gerade direkt nach der Titelverteidigung? Das ist dein Applaus auch nochmal.
Ja, war ein knappes Ding jetzt am Ende. Die Sägedisziplin war jetzt nicht meine, vor allem Singleback nicht.
Unfortunately, I'm not hearing them from the stage, so I can't do the translation for you. As soon as I get some volume in my headset, I will try and translate the last statements from these two guys here.
Ja, das ist natürlich schön, dass es dann nochmal mit dem Sieg ausgegangen ist jetzt. Der letzte Wettkampf hier in Deutschland dann als Nachwuchs. Ist ein guter Wechsel, weil wenn man jetzt nicht mal aufs Podium gekommen wäre, wäre es natürlich jetzt nicht motivierend, dann zu den Großen aufzusteigen, und somit hat es nochmal einen guten Push gegeben.
Und jetzt auch noch mal ganz kurz zu deiner Reise mit STIHL Timbersports. Wir durften es heute schon mal erwähnen, du warst jetzt kürzlich in China Anfang August. Das ist doch schon was Phänomenales, über den Sport auch die Welt und ganz viele verschiedene Menschen kennenzulernen, oder?
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Chinesisch kann ich noch nicht so gut, aber mit den anderen Europäern...
So folks, I still have no volume, unfortunately. Here we go.
Ist natürlich ärgerlich, wenn man den dann nicht ärgern kann, den Underhand noch gegen ihn gewinnt, aber ich bin natürlich trotzdem absolut zufrieden damit.
Das ist er, der deutsche Meister von 2024, Tim Anthofer. Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
All right, the last part of what I got there is that it was a little bit troublesome for him on a couple of sections, but at the end, taking the win, he's got to be really satisfied with it. And our last words from Toby was, he is our new German champion. So we'll head back up to our two champs there. Speaking of champions up top, and we'll get ready for our award ceremony down below. Yeah, and unfortunately, our two live guys for the German feed are just in direct sunlight and unfortunately hot as anything as we get ready down on the stage for our award ceremony. So we will bring all our athletes back up on stage and then introduce you to our top 3 athletes in those bronze medal, silver medal and gold medal positions.
Die Siegerehrung wollen natürlich nochmal alle 12 Athleten schöne feiern und ich darf an der Stelle auch schon mal begrüßen für die Übergabe der Preise und Medaillen die offizielle Koordinatorin von STIHL Timbersports Deutschland, Christine Radke, wird jetzt gleich auch die Preise übergeben. Wir starten
so Christine Radke, coordinator for STIHL Germany for the sports here, is we're going to bring out all of our athletes.
Jeffrey Hübscher,
and starting with our Swiss athlete, Jeffrey Hübscher coming out. He'll be for sure joined shortly by our great British athlete, Rowan Luxton. There we see Jeffrey Hübscher.
Für den Mann aus Großbritannien hat Herzblut bewiesen und wir freuen uns, dass er mit dabei ist. Rowan Luxton!
So now Rowan Luxton from Great Britain coming out on the stage. And for these two guys, this was a chance to gain some points on the international standing. So you won't see them, even though they might have had some better times than a couple of our German athletes, you won't see them on the podium today, but we're happy to have them here and give them an opportunity to gain some excellent points in the overall and the international and move them towards the Rookie World Championships down the road. All right, Alex Schendel coming out on the stage right now. He'll be followed by Tom Azer. Tom Azer, this was his very first competition. In fact, we had about 6 or 7 guys who were competing for the very first time. Tom Azer in 9th place here today. All right, coming up in 8th place is Robin Kons.
Nummer 8, Robin Kons.
I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot from Robin Kons down the road. He is a solid athlete, and we can see the skill level that's there. It's safe to say that a lot of these guys are going to be doing damage down the road, so very good job by him to get there in 8th place. 7th place now goes to Lewis Schindhelm. "18 years young, Lewis Schindhelm, doing a great job today."
Dann Platz
6th place now coming up, Leon Pesch. He had a great stock saw and struggled a little bit in the chopping discipline, so we know where the training is going to go for Leon in the next months, coming towards the next possibility for him to compete on the international stage. A great job by Leon Pesch, as He receives his awards.
Punkten auf dem 5. Platz. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, Felix
So 5th place now goes to
Mühlhaus.
Felix Mühlhaus. Fourth place coming up shortly is Stefan Reichert.
Dem Drittplatzierten auf dem 4. Platz, Stefan Reichert.
And you can hear in the audience, Stefan's got himself a fan club there as well. Fantastic. So 4th place for Stefan, just outside of the podium spots. And speaking of podium spots, now we are going to bring up our top 3. And that means first up in our bronze medal position. In 3rd place, he battled hard all day long, stayed relatively consistent throughout the day. And that means in 3rd place, Jan Reichert.
Jan Reichert!
3rd place in Springboard. Down low in the stock saw, standing block chop, he was 4th place. Single buck, he was 2nd place. In the underhand chop, he was 6th place. And stayed consistent throughout the day.
Applaus, Jan Reichert! Herzlichen Glückwunsch!
And he cannot be any more pleased. Look at the grin and the giggles and the smiles. Jan Reichert, 3rd place, the bronze medal here at the German Newcomer Championship. Then 2nd place, silver medal, Florian Hegele.
Glückwunsch, Platz Nummer 2, Florian Hegele.
Speaking of consistency, it doesn't get much better than this guy. He had a DQ in the stock saw, but he had 1st place in the springboard, standing block, and single buck, and only managed to get 2nd place in the underhand chop. And 39 points means 2nd place for Florian Hegele today. He was solid all day long.
Vize-Deutscher Meister 2024, Florian Hegele.
And were it not for the DQ in the stock saw, we might see a different result here for today. But Florian Hegele will happily take silver medal, and learn from his mistakes in that stock saw. And Tim Anthofer is our gold medalist here today. The man with a bright future will be moving on to the pros in the coming season. He got 2nd place in springboard, 2nd place in standing block, 3rd place in stock, 4th in single buck, and he won the underhand chop. Stayed pretty well consistent throughout the day, and by virtue is your champion here today, and will take top spot and the gold medal on the podium.
Für seinen Start bei den Pros, und hier bekommt er seine wohlverdiente Medaille. Tim Anthofer, herzlichen Glückwunsch! Und natürlich ist jetzt der Zeitpunkt gekommen, hier richtig zu feiern.
And we can't forget what everybody loves at the end of this, and that is the champagne showers. And here we go. The race to stay dry and save a little bit of the champagne to enjoy, as well as our champions spray each other and have a quick sip, and nobody's going to want to smell those guys after this situation here. Absolutely not.
Und vor allen Dingen war das der Auftakt hier auf der STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Bühne. Ich darf erstmal wieder abgeben an unseren Experten, an Christoph Lang und unseren Sportskommentator.
Well, folks, that was all she wrote here for the German Newcomer Championship 2024. We've had a fantastic day with some ups, with some downs, with some surprises, with some broken axe handles, and no shortage of action and drama. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you stay tuned with us for a little bit later on for our German Pro Championship coming up at 3 o'clock local time this afternoon in just about 1 3/4 hours time. My name is Troy Mannering, and I will be signing off for now. We hope you enjoyed the show. Till next time, folks, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good out there. Ciao.